Okay, everybody, let us start. A very formal good afternoon to everyone. And as I see that there are 13 participants, so let me take this opportunity to, welcome each one of you personally. So welcome Abhishek, Gaurav, Harmeek, Gulzar, Manav, Manoj, Tarun, Vishal, Vaibhav, Vishwas, and Palak, and Sumit, of course. So today's session, as you must have registered, you must be aware that we will be talking about how do we pitch solutions and how do we use the FAB technique to do it, okay? So pitching solutions is something which is very critical in today's scenario because every customer is looking for solutions for their problems and challenges. So today's session is all about how do we use a technique which is FAB. I'm sure a lot of you come from a sales background, which we've seen in our past webinars. So you must be aware of the fabbing technique. So FAB is nothing but the feature, advantage, and benefit of a common technique, which is widely used across sales. So in today's session, we would be discussing as to how we can leverage the technique of fabbing to pitch solutions. So before we start, I would quickly give you a round of introduction about myself. My name is Himadri. I'm part of the Juno team. Sorry, I take care of the design and delivery. I'm a certified trainer from City and Guild UK, and in my learning journey, I've worked with organizations like Hindustan Times, IM Jobs, Jaguar, NIS, TCS, Intellinet, and GE Capital. So if I look back at my training journey with salespeople, it's been almost about 18, 19 years that I've been into sales training, and every session or every interaction that I have with salespeople is a learning for me. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to share something that I've learned with time, some of my experiences, and of course, some of the techniques that people can use to sell better. So that's the idea. Considering that we have 14 participants, we can actually make this session, kind of interactive, because I would be asking you a few questions. I would also request you to share some of your learnings. So that's going to be the agenda. So if we talk about Juno in brief, before we start, I'm sure a lot of you have been regularly attending our webinars every Saturday, and it gives me immense pleasure to say that this is the 4th webinar in succession. For people who've joined for the first time, for your information, this is going to be a routine feature every Saturday. So every Saturday between 12 to 1, we would be doing webinars on topics related to sales. It could be sales techniques. It could be industry leaders coming and talking about their journey, their experiences on sales. How do you build a great career in sales? So what I would suggest is that you can always, block your calendars and make sure that you attend these sessions, which would give you great insights on sales. And that's the initiative that we at Juno are undertaking, wherein we train people on sales. So we have experiential learning, we have industry leaders coming across. And of course, once you be part of the course, we will also give you placement support. The overall objective is to identify people who are interested in sales, train them, groom them, and also help them get opportunities in sales-driven organizations. So that's the initiative that we've undertaken. Now that you know about Juno, let me tell you what are the objectives of today's session. So today, we would be talking about what is a feature, okay? What is an advantage? What is a benefit? And how do we use this technique to sell more? So that's the idea. How do we use fabbing to sell more? Okay. Now, before I move to the next slide, I would be throwing some random words, okay? And I want you people to unmute yourself if you can, by provided that there's no background noise. And the moment I show you these words or these set of words, I would want you to tell me whether you identify them as a feature or you feel that those are advantages or those are benefits. Okay. So let's say if I put this word on the slide and I say airbag, what do you think airbag is? Is it a feature? Is it an advantage? Or is it a benefit? So you guys can unmute yourself and, give me your answers. That would be great.
Feature.
This is a feature.
Okay, Gulzar says it's a feature. Okay. Anybody else?
Feature.
Feature. Okay, fair. So what you guys are saying is absolutely correct. It's a feature. Let's move to the next one. Durability. Now, is this a feature or is this a benefit?
Benefit.
The benefit.
It's a benefit. Fantastic. So what you're saying is absolutely correct. It's a benefit. Okay, let me go to the third set. So it says won't crack if exposed to impact. Now, this is a feature, advantage, or a benefit.
Advantage.
Okay. This is an advantage. Yep. Can you repeat that? Is this an advantage? Somebody
Yes.
mentioned advantage, right?
Yes.
So Viraj says that this is an advantage. Fantastic. So Viraj, you're absolutely right. This is indeed an advantage. Okay, let me go to some more words. Wireless transfer of data. Is this a feature, advantage, or benefit?
Feature. It's a feature.
This is a feature.
Yeah, it's a
Gulzar
feature.
says it's a feature. Anybody else has any other take on this? Okay, so this is typically an advantage. Okay, let me move to the next set. Scratch resistant.
Feature.
Scratch resistant is a feature. Okay, Virat says it's a feature. Okay. Anybody else? So it is indeed a feature. 5000 mAh battery. Is this a feature, advantage, or benefit?
Feature.
Okay, this is again a feature. Absolutely correct. ABS, anti-lock braking system.
An advantage.
Feature.
Okay, Virat says feature, Gulzar says advantage. Let's see. So this is a feature. Okay, convenience.
Benefit.
Okay, convenience is benefit. Okay. Somebody else wants to add? Anybody else?
Advantage.
Okay, Weber says advantage. Okay. Convenience is basically a benefit. Okay, let me go to the next one. So this says doesn't lock wheels while sudden braking. What is this? Feature, advantage, benefit.
It's an advantage.
It's an advantage. Okay. Correct. This is an advantage. Let me go to the next set. Comfort.
Benefit.
Comfort is benefit. Okay. Yes, indeed, comfort is a benefit. Safety. What is safety? Is it a feature, advantage, or benefit?
It's a benefit.
Advantage.
Benefit.
This is the advantage.
Gulzar says advantage. Virat says benefit. Okay, this is a benefit. Let me go to the next one now. Nano coating. What would this be? Feature, advantage, or benefit?
It's a feature.
Okay, Virat says feature. Anybody else?
Feature, sir.
Okay, Weber says feature. Correct. You guys are right. This is also a feature. Let me go to the next one. Bluetooth. How would you identify this? Feature, advantage, or benefit?
It's a feature. Feature.
Feature.
This is a feature. Okay, correct. You're right. This is a feature. Inflates on impact. Now, this is feature, advantage, or benefit?
It's
Sir, advantage.
This is an
It's
advantage.
advantage.
Okay. Vivek says advantage. Yes, correct. Indeed, this is an advantage. Okay, the next one. What is this? Feature, advantage, benefit, value for money.
benefit.
This is a benefit. Okay. Okay, this is value for money is a benefit. Okay. Ergonomic design.
Feature.
It's an advantage.
Okay, this is a feature. Okay. 64 megapixel camera.
Feature.
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 Feature. Okay.
Yeah.
This is actually a feature. Now, great. So what did you learn from this exercise, or what were your insights? Anybody?
Anything kind of an emotion is a benefit for like peace of a mind or anything like
Okay.
convenience
Haha.
or is a comfort or something like that's what I get of it from it. And for like and different types of things that's offered, it's featured. You can say like airbag or Bluetooth or cameras or something, anything like that. It's a feature. It's a feature that
Okay.
improves that improves your product. It's
Okay.
a
So you're
feature.
saying what on the emotional front is basically a benefit, and anything related to the product is the feature. Correct, Viraj?
Yeah, yeah.
And how would you define an advantage in that case?
Something that enhances your feature is an
Mhm.
advantage.
Okay, fair enough. Anybody else would want to take that question? So one thing which is very clear after this exercise is that, some of the bits we got right, some we could not. So we all now understand that there has to be a formula. Sorry, let's excuse my voice today. So there has to be a formula basis which we will qualify what is a feature, what is an advantage, what is a benefit, right? It cannot be a hit and trial method. So nothing works out on the gut feel that, I look at this particular word or set of words and I feel, okay, this should be a feature, or this should be an advantage, or this should be a benefit. So there has to be a formula. There has to be a die or a set of definitions basis which we will identify whether this qualifies as a feature, or this qualifies as an advantage, or this qualifies as a benefit. Is that correct? Are we all on the same page till now that there has to be some clear-cut definitions basis which we qualify feature, advantage, benefits?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm sure you guys can unmute and just acknowledge with a yes if you agree to what I'm saying.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Manav gives me a thumbs up. Great, fantastic. So we all understand that when we are selling, or we are in the world of selling, we cannot just judge by gut feeling that this is a feature, advantage, or benefit. We all need to understand, for us to qualify a feature, advantage, benefit, there has to be a set of definitions or a formula, because till the time we theoretically, I repeat, till the time we theoretically don't understand the difference between the three, we will not be able to use this technique of fabbing while selling. And today's session, we are only talking about how to pitch solutions the fab way. So we're going to be focusing on two things. One, theoretically understand that what is the difference between feature, advantage, benefit, and basis what do we qualify these three buckets. That's the first piece. The second piece is that how do I use this fabbing technique to pitch solutions to my customers? And every customer, every profile of customer is different, right? So that is what we would be talking on. Now, before I move forward, let me go to feature. So what I'll try to do is I would try to simplify this as much as possible, because we need to be very, very clear on the concept of fabric. So feature is what it is. Okay, so this is a very simple definition, what it is. Now, what it is qualifies what? So it could be a physical characteristic or attribute in the product. Now, when I say physical characteristic or attribute in the product, what I'm trying to say here is that there are times that we do some modifications in the product physically to make it more user friendly, or to add some element of newness in the product. So basically, any physical changes that we do to create product differentiation. So feature is any physical characteristic or attribute in the product. It could be a technology used. So for example, in the previous slide, we had picked up words like airbag, Bluetooth, nano coating, 64 megapixel camera. So these are various technologies that we're using, right? So whenever you see, or whenever you want to qualify something as a feature, just remember this definition is mine. It could be a physical change in the product. So for example, if I'm talking about a phone, sorry. So a lot of phones these days, the back covers are made of material which gives you a better grip. So there is some physical changes made to the back panel compared to the other phone. So that's a physical characteristic of the product. So any physical change that I've done or any latest technology that I've incorporated in the product to make it different from other products. So for example, a Bluetooth. So that's a technology we are using, right? So whenever you want to understand a feature better, just run that particular thing through this definition. If it is a physical change, it is a feature. If it's a name of a technology being used, it's a feature. Any questions around how do we identify a feature now, or anything that you want to ask, or is this definition clear and it is pretty understandable? Anybody? No questions? Okay. So I'll move to the next one. Now, the second thing is, what is advantage? Now, a lot of places I've seen people talk about advantage in the sense that how is my product better to competition product? So that's typically not an advantage. That's the actual translation of the English word. So when we talk about fabbing, it's not what your product has an upper hand on. Advantage means what it does. So basically what we're saying is the working principle. So if you made a physical change to a product, or you've added some newness or some new bit in terms of technology, it is the sheer working principle. So basically the science, what it is supposed to be doing, how it behaves or performs differently compared to the other product. So for example, if I have a phone with a Bluetooth, I can wirelessly transfer data. So that's the working principle of the Bluetooth technology. So all you need to remember is advantage is nothing but the working principle, or how does that product behave differently because of that physical change or because of that new technology incorporated. Is this making sense? Any questions that you have around this? Anybody?
No, sir.
Is this clear till now?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you have.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So when we are trying to define the advantage, would it be, I mean, do we try to compare it with someone? No.
No, as of now, sorry. As of now, we are not comparing. So when we say advantage, we are just saying that what is the physical, what is the working principle of that physical change that I've incorporated in the product, or what is the working principle of the technology that I've incorporated in the product. I'm not doing a comparison at this point of time.
Okay. Let's try to do it with an example again. Sorry.
Yeah.
So we were talking about the car, the Bluetooth. It provides a Bluetooth is a feature.
Correct.
Advantage is it allows me to connect with the phones.
It allows you to transfer data wirelessly, correct? That's the working principle of Bluetooth.
Right. So that's the advantage.
That's the advantage. So for example, if I say an airbag is a feature which is used across. Now, what is the advantage? That whenever you are exposed to pressure, a certain decibel of pressure, the bag inflates, correct? So that's the science behind it, the working principle.
Right.
So anything that talks of the working principle is the advantage. So normally what we've seen is that when it comes to selling, people understand the feature, people understand the benefit. And what happens is that because we get trained on our product, when we get into sales, we are trained, we have a proper product training. So we are very clear with the feature and the advantage. That's my side of the story. And during the pitch, what I do is I talk of the feature and the advantage to customers, which typically does not make sense to them because that's my side of the story. What the customer wants to listen is his side of the story as to how will this feature and advantage add value to his life. And that's where benefits come in, because benefit is something that will excite the customer to buy. So there is a concept called WIIFM, which says what's in it for me. Now, when I say me here, me is the customer. Okay. So you need to understand what's in it for me. Me is the customer. So how will this feature and advantage add value to the customer's life? That is more than important. How does it add value to my wife and impact it will create to me as an end user? So for example, if I buy a car with an airbag, I don't care whether the airbag floats, what is the chemical composition inside the airbag, at what speed. As a customer, I'm not bothered. What I'm bothered or what excites me is that, God forbid, if I meet with a car crash, me and my loved ones or my family is safe. Similarly, for a Bluetooth, I don't care as a customer how the technology works. What I'm more concerned is that what is the distance within which I can connect to a phone remotely and I can transfer my files and data. So benefit is something that excites customers to buy. And the challenge that we have seen with people, because we understand the feature and advantage, because we've been trained on that. So when we do a sales pitch, we focus more on the advantage and features, but we don't talk of the benefits. However, what we need to understand very clearly is that benefit is something that will excite the customer to buy. So what is the impact that it will have on my life as an end user once I start using the product? Is everybody clear on this? The theoretical definition? Any doubts on the theoretical definition? Because once we understand the theoretical definition, then we will see how do we apply this? How do we practically use this concept of fabric? Any questions? Anybody has?
No, sir.
Okay. So feature, what it is, advantage, what it does, benefit, what's in it for me. So what I do is to simplify and understand it even in a simple fashion. In the Hindi language, we can say naam. Naam means what is the name of the technology. Advantage is the kaam. Kaam means what it does. And benefit is the labh. So you can always remember it like naam, kaam, labh. Right? So idea is whatever way you want to remember, either naam, kaam, labh, or what it is, what it does, what's in it for me. You should be absolutely clear in your minds that what is the differentiation between the feature, advantage, benefit. Once we understand this, then only we can pitch solutions. So if I move forward, since you guys don't have any questions, now pitching solutions is all about creating value in the mind of the customer. And we all understand that salespeople, that value proposition is something that we all are focusing on. How to give a better value of my product to my customers. If you only talk about feature, the customer will see this as an expense, or he will see that it is expensive. Okay, it is the latest technology, fair enough, but why should I spend more? So if you talk about only your features, the customer will see that product as expensive. Similarly, if you talk about the advantage, if you tell the customer, okay, this is the latest feature and this is what it does, it's the latest in the technology and this is what it does, the customer still sees it as a cost. What he sees is that this latest technology is going to come to him at an additional cost, which he may or may not be happy about or may be inclined to. So there are some people, so every buyer has a different persona. Every buyer has a different persona. So there are some people who are technologically driven. So they would change their phones, they would change their laptops, they would upgrade their cars or anything because they are fascinated about technology. But some people are not like that. So most of the people who are not fascinated about technology, they buying the latest product with the latest technology could be a cost to them. What is the most important factor that we need to focus on is the benefit. So the moment you talk to the customer about the benefit piece as to how this feature and advantage will add value to their life, that's when they immediately connect. And that's when they feel, okay, this is worth it. This makes sense. And I feel that I should be investing. So that's when he sees it as an investment. So as smart salespeople, we should always focus on two things. One, we should tell the customer about the feature and the advantage. However, the second thing that we should be focusing more on is that during the entire sales pitch, we should be talking more around the benefits, the WIIFM factor. How will it create or add value to the customer's life? So that is more important. And that's where the theoretical understanding of fabbing is more important. So once you understand the difference between feature, advantage, benefit, you focus more on the benefits on the call to create a better value proposition for your customer. And once you're able to create this better value proposition for your customer, the customer gets more excited to buy because he sees that there is a value add that will bring to his life, or that's a value add that will happen to his life as an end user. And that's when he sees it as an investment. Are we guys clear with this? Any questions anybody has till now? Because I'll be more than happy to take questions as and when it arises in your mind. So anybody has any questions till now? Anything that you would want to clarify or ask, or any experience that you would want to share? No? Okay, so shall I move ahead?
Yes.
Okay, great. So let me move forward. Now, what I'm going to do is I am going to give you two scenarios. Okay, so I'm going to narrate a situation and imagine that you guys are the customers. Okay, so all of you, all the 23 of you on the call, you are customers. I'm going to narrate two scenarios. And once I've done narrating both the scenarios, then I will tell you, or rather ask you, that had you been a customer, in which situation would you have thought of buying the product? If not bought it, but you would have given it a thought that, okay, I think I should consider. Okay. Now, before I start the scenario, let me give you a heads up. I'm going to talk about a feature in a television, which is a sensor. So that's the feature. The advantage is that this sensor automatically adjusts the picture brightness and contrast as per the light availability in the room. So I've told you what is the feature that I'm going to talk about and what is the advantage of this particular feature. So let me start scenario one. Scenario one. So there's a family, okay, a husband, wife, and a kid. They've gone to a store to buy a television, and that's when they meet a sales consultant. So this is scenario one. Now, while the TV, so they've decided on the television, while the television is getting packed. So this sales consultant tells the customer, sir, now that you've decided to buy a TV and while it gets packed, let me show you the latest in TV technology. This is the golden eye sensor. And you know what it does is that according to the light availability in the room, it will adjust the picture brightness and contrast. And that's the beauty of this latest technology. Now, if you want to buy this TV, which is the latest, it will cost you 10,000 more. Okay. So this is what he tells the customer. This is scenario one. Now, let me quickly shift to scenario two. In scenario two, the feature that I'm going to pitch is same. The advantage, of course, will be the same. The situation is the family has decided which TV they're buying. And while this TV is getting packed, there's another consultant because it's a scenario two. So there's a different consultant. He comes and says that, sir, now that you've decided the TV that you're buying and while I get it packed and ready and delivered to your place, let me give you a suggestion. Why don't you buy this television? This has the latest technology. It has a sensor which is inbuilt. So what it does is that according to the light in the room, it will automatically adjust the picture brightness and contrast. Now, as you said that your daughter watches a lot of TV most of the times, and mostly parents are worried that, you know, if they watch too much of TV, their eyes will get impacted. But if you buy this television, irrespective of how many hours of TV your daughter watches, this will not impact the eyes of your child. This TV will just cost you 10,000 more than what you decided to buy. Now, as customers, my question to you is, out of scenario one and out of scenario two, had you been a customer, where would you have bought the television, or you would have at least thought of buying the TV? I would want everyone to unmute as long as there's no background noise and give me an answer. Scenario one or scenario two? And I think it's an easy answer to give. You just have to tell me which scenario, one or two.
Two.
Okay, let me see who's giving me answers. Okay. Who says one? Who says two? Sorry.
Gaurav.
Gaurav. Okay, Gaurav says two.
Two.
Okay. Hariom says two. Okay, let me see.
I'm not
Others
said
waiting
anything
for
yet,
the
sorry.
responses.
Two.
One.
Okay. Virat says two.
I
Yeah, there was someone who's trying to say something. Could
yes,
you repeat?
this is
Yeah?
Hari, and
Yeah,
I
Hari.
want to give an answer. It's like the question is little complex than it seemed like, right? The stories sound incomplete. I am little of a overthinker. So,
Okay.
and the actual situation, I'll not be able to come to that conclusion.
Okay. Okay, so even of whatever you've heard, if I just tell you to pick one, so picking one out of two alternates is the easiest thing to do in life. So which one would you pick? Scenario one, scenario two, Hari?
Yeah, maybe I can. In that case, it'll be like 2, but it's a limited information question, right?
Fair enough. Fair enough. I respect that. Okay, Hari also to an extent convincingly says two. Okay, can I have others give me the answers, please?
Yeah, hi, this
Scenario
is
one,
Kumar. I
scenario
would
two.
say scenario one, I would say. This is Kumar.
Yeah, Kumar, tell me scenario one. Okay, why?
The reason is there is a budget always.
Correct.
And customers who have limited budget,
Mhm.
where 80% of the time people are going for, budget constraint decisions.
Absolutely.
And that
Absolutely.
is why scenario one, that fits into the budget, and then, 10% more cost would
Correct.
not be the current requirement, What as a
Could be,
buyer, I would
yes.
think as a conservative buyer that, okay, I'll ask my child to put some glasses, or I'll put some aftermarket
Correct.
screen.
Right. Good that you bought this element, Kumar, because that clearly differentiates that every buyer has different priorities, right?
Right.
And that's precisely the reason I asked two questions parallelly. One, how many of you would buy it? Second question I asked that if not buy, how many of you would give it a thought, right? So I may not necessarily want to stretch my budget because my budget is the biggest buying criteria. But if I don't have a budget constraint, I might think of it. But if I have a budget constraint, I might think of buying it at a later point of time. So that's absolutely fine. That's why we say that every customer has different buying criteria. Okay, so out of 5-6 responses that I got, most of the people said scenario two, one person said scenario one. I'm still waiting for the responses from the others.
Yeah, I will go with another one.
Okay, who's that?
That is Gulzar.
Okay, so you go with scenario one. Okay, anybody else?
Yeah.
I have a question here.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So it's around. I think I just missed my question. Give me 1 second, right? So
Sure, Hari, sure, I'll wait.
when we were talking about, yeah, so basically when you were asking a question, right, your question was little inclined towards getting the answer to, right? You
Yeah.
started with this is a clear answer, right? So that was also a little biased part of it.
Okay. Okay.
Just and if you can clarify, was it not?
I had a very simple question that either you'll buy or you think of buying. So, today, if I give you a very psychological thing, if I ask any one of you in the forum, would you want to buy a BMW? I'm sure nobody would say no. Now, the point is, when do you buy it? Either you buy it in your lifetime or you don't buy it. But I'm sure if you have the resources, you'll be the first person to go and buy. So it is all about aspiration. That's where the concept of need versus want come in. So as a parent, now let me throw a question in a different format. You may be a guy buying the best of the brands, right? But once you become a parent, you might want to, I'm saying you might want to compromise on the brands that you wear, but you may not compromise on your child's education, which school they go to. However, I again repeat, however, there would be parents who said, no, what I wear, what I've been wearing all these 30, 40 years is more important. I can always compromise on my child's education. Now, these are again rational versus emotional needs. And as we all know, and I don't know if you were part of Aman's session, he spoke about rational versus emotional needs. And that is the reason we say that most of the times understanding the buyer's mind is a complex process. And that's where probing and all these things come into play. So what you're saying, I'm not going to take that away from you, Hari. But yes, I would want to seal this conversation by saying that every buyer has different priorities. For some buyers, money would be a priority. For some buyers, the kids' eyes would be a priority, and they might want to stretch that budget extra to protect the eyes of their kids. So it's not that what is right, what is wrong. I'm saying mostly that's the format that we see. I hope I could address that question.
Makes sense. Sure.
Okay, great. So let's move forward. So what we're saying here is that now let me ask you this question. The pitch that I used, can you use the same pitch to sell this feature to a population of bachelors? The same pitch, exactly the same pitch. Can I use this to sell it to a bachelor?
No.
You cannot,
No, of
right?
course not.
Absolutely right. You cannot. Next question. Does that mean you cannot pitch this feature to bachelors?
You can pitch this.
We
No,
can.
sir, you can. You can.
You can, correct? So you can. So what we've seen is that that's where customization comes in. So as I said at the start of the session, there are two things that we need to remember when we are trying to master the concept of fabbing. One, theoretically understand the difference between feature, advantage, and benefit. And once we understand this, we need to customize the pitch around the customer that I'm interacting with. Because if it is a bachelor, I can't use the same pitch. But that does not qualify that I cannot sell this feature to a bachelor. Definitely I can. So the learning from this is, whenever you're on a sales call, talk of the features and advantages. However, what is more important is that you should be focusing more on the benefits. Customize benefits as per the customer's life. So whatever the customer is all about, his life, his surrounding, his near and dear ones, what is he exactly looking for? What are his particular pain points, his challenges? You need to customize the benefit around his immediate life. Talk of how this feature will add value to his or her life. So basically paint a picture, give him a sense of ownership that if I buy this product, if I own this product, how will I feel? So typically, if you see today, when you're buying a car or you're buying high ticket value products, people tend to offer you test drives. Even, now situations are such that you can get a test drive at home also. You don't have to go to the dealership because every company is trying to, spoil the customer. Sorry to use that language, but yes, it's about spoiling the customer to make him understand that, hey, listen, you know what? If you buy this product, this is how you will feel. So it's all about making the customer understand how will this feature benefit their life. Always remember, benefits will trigger the buying behaviors. Now, ironically, what we see because of our product training and we've been selling a product for so long, we are very good with our product knowledge. We exactly know what feature works how. We exactly know what is the advantage. But what we miss out, I'm not saying that we do it deliberately, but because we are selling so much every day, meeting so many customers on a regular basis, we miss this sensitive bit of customizing the benefits, right? So when you want to talk of pitching solutions, what you need to remember is that it is important to talk of the feature advantage, but what we should be focusing more on the sales call is talking about the benefits and revolve it around the customer's life. So that's more important. And that's where pitching solutions come in. Because as long as you're only talking about the feature and advantages, you're just pitching the product in isolation. But when you start talking about the benefits, that's when you are pitching solutions. And solution has to be customized. It has to be tailor-made. Just remember the example. You can't use this pitch to sell it to a bachelor. For me to sell it to a bachelor, I will have to use a different pitch. So that's where probing comes into play, right? So if I'm selling this to a bachelor, I might ask him that, what does he do over the weekends? I'm sure he must be into gaming, watching OTT platforms, and watching TV late night before he sleeps off. So this will all come through probing. So I'll be able to extract all this information through probing. Once probing happens, then I can customize this benefit around his life. And that is when it will make more sense. So if you see, selling is a process. You cannot master one process in isolation. Any process or any stage that you follow, it will have a cascading effect. So if you've not probed well, you really don't know what's his universe. And if you don't understand his universe well, you'll not be able to customize the solution. So fabbing is a blended skill. So technically, if you see, gone are those days when only selling benefits would work. So there were times almost about 3-4 years back when you talk of benefits, customer understand. But now life has changed. You got to customize it. So fabbing is a blended skill. It is a mix of both hard as well as soft skills. Why do I call it hard skill? Because first, you need to master your product. You need to have complete product knowledge and you have to have a grip on the concept of fabbing. The moment you see a product or you pick up a catalog, you exactly know this is the feature, this is the advantage, and this is the benefit. And for that, I have given you the blueprint. I've exactly told you the definitions, right? Once you run it through that definition and you get an understanding that what is the feature, what is an advantage, what is a benefit, then you got to customize these benefit around that specific customer. And that can only happen if you probed well, if you asked good quality questions to understand his world, you asked good quality questions to understand what his challenges are, and then you pitch a solution. So till the time you're not doing that, you're only pitching a product in isolation. Any questions anybody has till now? Or anything that you would want to ask or share out of your own experience? Anybody? No questions? Shall I move forward then? At least give me an acknowledgement. Yes, no?
I have kind of a story to share in case I can do it.
Yeah, please, Hari. Please go ahead.
Please
go ahead.
In short, right? I think I was like 10 minutes late, although this is my first class. But
Okay.
what I got is that the few things I've been trying to do in last like 3 months. So I recently joined this new organization.
Okay.
And I've
Congratulations on that.
Thank you. So, and there's another story behind getting hired there. But anyway, so since last 3 months, I've been trying to convince, I think, my team about using some processes and tools, right? Which
Okay.
I felt like I'm failing somewhere. I always kept on talking about the features technically, right? Now, after this class, I think I get that the benefits, right?
Right.
And their pain points, I think I've been like not addressing very carefully, which just gives me a starting point. Like, there's something I need to change in my. I always thought there's something I need to change in my process, but I could not figure it out. And I recently learned that everything is a process.
Correct.
This is kind of a sales, right, which I'm trying to do. So yes,
Yeah.
in short, just that.
Thank you so much, Hari, and I'm so happy that we could add value in whatever bits and pieces to your sales process and your thought process. So that's why we said that it is a mix of hard and soft. So when you're pitching solutions, it has to be that that emotional element or that iota of emotion and sensitivity has to go in when you're speaking to a customer. Great, thanks for sharing that, Hari. Anybody else wants to share any of their examples, experiences, any questions? Yeah. Somebody, I could hear a voice. Somebody was trying to share something. No? Okay.
Hello.
So, yeah.
Can I?
Yeah, Viraj.
Can I know more about the probing thing? Like, how do you customize it for the customer? Because
Okay.
I'm quite new to this thing. Like, I've never been in this background.
Okay, great.
Life. So yeah.
So Viraj, what I'll do is, so probing is a very vast concept. But since you've asked me that question, I will not leave this question unanswered because this is really important. So we'll try to do a session on probing, or what we can do is I will try to connect with you on a one-on-one basis and give you more answers. But since you've asked me this in a forum, I would want to take this question in the forum itself. So probing is a technique wherein you're asking a certain set of questions. So it is really different from interrogation. That, the moment the customer comes in, you start bombarding him with questions. So it is not about asking questions. It is about asking intelligent questions to understand the basics of the customer in terms of his personal life, his professional life, understanding about his challenges that he faces, and of course, what he would be interested in a solution. So probing, if I would want to define, it is the art of asking the right set of questions to understand the customer's needs. Okay. So there is a combination of a lot of questions. So you may want to ask some questions to understand his world. You may ask some questions to understand what challenges he's facing. You may want to ask some questions around the product or the solution that he's looking for. What are the exact technical specifics he's looking at? So that's where probing comes into play. I hope I could answer that question in whatever time, but yes, as you mentioned, so we will try to get in touch with you and we will give you, more insights on the art of probing. I hope that works for you, Viraj, at the moment.
Cool.
Great. So any other questions people have, or shall I move forward? Okay, let me move forward then. So just remember, it's a blended skill. It's a mix of both hard and soft skills. You got to master your product knowledge and understand the theoretical definition between feature, advantage, benefit. Customize this and probe well enough to understand the customer's universe so that you can do a lot of customization around pitching. So a couple of pointers that I would want to remember when you're trying to master this art of fabbing is, first, gain conceptual clarity. So what I've seen is my experience of about 18, 19 years of interaction with salespeople. The moment they join an organization, there's a product training that happens. In the product training, there's a FAB sheet which is given. The FAB sheet clearly talks about the feature, advantage, benefit. And what salespeople end up doing is that they mug it up. So it's like a table that they want to mug up. My thought here or my suggestion here is, don't mug this up. This is like maths. You cannot mug up maths. This is not history. So the moment you get conceptual clarity, you will be able to yourself define the feature, advantage, benefit, and that becomes much more easier and conversational when you're pitching it. So mugging up FABs doesn't work. What works is you gain conceptual clarity so that whenever you look at a feature or whenever you start selling a new product, you know what is the feature, you can define the advantage and you can define the benefit. Because I'm sure as salespeople, you'll not be selling one product all across your life. You would be moving across industries. So first, gain conceptual clarity. Do not mug this up. One thing that you need to remember, because as per the definition, feature is the technology or the physical changes and advantage is the working principle. So under no case scenario, feature and advantages will change. So if I want to put this in a nutshell, features and advantages never change. What changes are the benefits, because every feature you can customize it as a different benefit to a different population of customers. Just like the TV example that we shared. So in that TV example, the feature and the advantage remained the same. What changed was the benefit compared to the population of customers I was dealing with. So that's the second point to remember. The third, you need to customize the benefits as per the customer's universe. So understanding fabbing is one aspect and customization is the second aspect. So it's like two sides of the same coin. Once you master both the sides, that's when you start pitching solutions. That's when you can say that, okay, I have now got the mantra of pitching solutions. I understand FAB and I've got into a natural way of customizing the benefits around customers' life. So there are two sides of mastering this technique. One challenge that I will tell you, which I'm sure a lot of you would agree, or if you do some introspection around the FABs or the products that you've been selling, the challenge that I've seen is it is difficult, or I would say not difficult, but it is challenging to differentiate between the advantage and benefits. So once people consciously start implementing this, or they start trying to implement this technique, people understand what is a feature. People also understand what is the benefit. But what makes it challenging is that how to differentiate between the feature and the advantage and benefit. So normally people get confused there. And one good way of doing this is, I'm sure you may be in some organization selling some product, right? Try to create a FAB sheet on your own. List down all the features. Let's say start with at least 10. List down all the features. What are the corresponding advantages? Keep those definitions in mind when you're doing this. Feature is nothing but the physical changes in the product or the technology which has been used. Advantage is the working principle, and benefit is how will it impact the end user. So the first step, or I would say the tip here to master the art of fabbing, is create a fabbing sheet of your own, basis the product that you're selling, right? So whenever you get time, create a fab list. The more you start refining it with time and practice, the more you start penning this down, you will feel that you face a challenge between differentiating the advantages and benefits. And the more you practice, you will master this art. And once you master it, then it becomes very conversational during the sales pitch. You don't have to remember any fab sheet, or you don't have to mug anything up, right? So this is what I actually thought that, I would have time to share in this 1 hour of window that we have. And I know it's a Saturday afternoon. A lot of you may be having some engagements. But now I open the forum to questions that you would want to ask, anything that you want to share, sorry, any feedback that you have for us. As I told you at the start of the session, that it's going to be a routine feature at Juno. Every Saturday, 12 to 1, we would be having industry leaders coming and talking of their experiences, be talking about sales insights. So anything that you want to give us as feedback or any questions you have, any experiences you want to share, please feel free.
Yeah, I have a question. Thank you very much for the session.
Thank you so much.
On FAB. So one question is regarding the selection of the customer, that because one thing cannot be fit for the other one. So
Correct.
one size do not fit to all.
Absolutely.
So how to change your pitch or stance or your FAB? Would you like to guide people on that?
Yeah, Harmeet, so thanks for asking that question. And that is precisely on the lines of customization. So as you rightly mentioned that, no customer is similar. Every customer has different requirements, different situations that they face, and they're looking for different solutions. And that is where probing comes into play. So probing is one stage prior to the fabbing piece, wherein we are assessing the need, or some of the people would call it developing a call. So developing a call or assessing need is all about understanding the customer's world. Now, once I've done my probing better, that's when I know how do I pitch this. So for example, if I pick up the example of the television that I quoted, so normally the trend that we see in bachelors is that, they spend a lot of time watching TV, or maybe they're into gaming, or that's the last thing that they do before, they go to bed, and that's the first thing that they do when they get up in the morning. So for me, when I know that these would be his requirements, or this is the way of life, and that can come to me through probing, I will pitch my solutions in a different way. So I'll ask him that, whenever you have the light on in the room, I'm sure at times you need to adjust the picture brightness and contrast manually. When you are going to, sleep off for the night and you switch off the light, then again, there's some manual tweakings that you need to do, right? So that's inconvenience. Second, when you're watching a lot of OTT stuff on OTT platform, or you're doing a lot of gaming, at times, it puts a strain on your eyes. So irrespective whether the light is on or off, so this gives me a sense that, okay, this is what I need to pitch. So this is all about storytelling. So what I've done in this session is just touch the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the sales process. So storytelling, how do you probe to understand? And that's when you do the customization. So it's too much in detail when it comes to each of the stages. So I hope I could answer some bits to what you wanted to ask, Harmeet. Sorry, Harmeet.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Harmeet, for asking that question.
So luckily, I started sales a bit early, and I was trained by NIS Sparta. So I hope the part of that, no?
Yeah, I am part of NIS. So I work with NIS Sparta.
Yeah, the office used to be there in South Extension that time.
Yeah, Balaji Estate, Kalkat.
Yeah. So it was long
back.
Small
world, Harmeet. Feels great to connect with someone who got trained by us. Fantastic.
Yeah, right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Harmeet. And thanks for joining in. And I think you one who has been diligently, being part of the sessions every week. We really appreciate that, Harmeet. Thank you so much for your time. Okay, guys, any other questions? Anybody has anything that you want to share, or any feedback that you have for us to make this even more better and interesting? It's an open forum. You can anything. Yeah, please go ahead.
Shaunak. First, thanks for the session. I mean,
Thank you so much.
I've been selling services for a bit of a time, but I've never thought about selling it the FAB way, honestly. Just one question. So you talked about a lot of products, but how do we include the FAB way in the services domain? Because in terms of services, the benefits are very, very intangible and not really tangible. So how do I kind of pitch it the FAB way if I'm pitching a service?
Great. So I will answer that question in whatever time I have. So Shaunak, yes, when you are more in a service related industry, most of the stuff is around. So again, it depends on what kind of a product you're selling, right? So as you mentioned, it cannot be tangible in most of the cases. However, intangible could be automation. Automation is something which is intangible. You you look at the benefits of automation is that you have a one-stop platform for everything that you're doing, or maybe it helps you save time. It makes it more convenient. So I may not be able to do justice to the question that you've asked till the time I understand what product you're selling or what service you're offering, right?
So I've been selling logistics services, warehousing, transportation, allied services, manpower services for running somebody's warehouses.
Okay, so that would be a lot of automation that you guys go and pitch, right?
Correct. We pitch a lot of automation, but it then in India selling automation is very difficult because first most of the customers do not want to pay for it. And if it is something new, then they'll be like, we don't want a long-term contract and long-term commitment.
Correct.
So automation should either be free, which is slowly happening. The visibility of the shipments are slowly becoming a free feature now. But otherwise, it is very, very difficult to convince a customer to go for an automation. Because in India, unfortunately, manpower is cheaper than technology still. So it becomes really difficult. They'll say put 10 more people for the job rather than doing automation. And even not just Indian companies, even foreign companies, MNCs, they'll say, and companies who are doing automation in other countries, they'll say, no. There, though, the manpower is very, very expensive. So that's why we have automation. Yahan what's the big deal? You put 10 more people, get the job done.
Yeah, so but trends are changing, and I'm sure you would agree to that. But yes, what I would suggest, why don't you connect with us and then we can have a one-on-one interaction and I'll give you some insights on that. But yes, just to address what you asked, times are changing. Yes, you said that the Indian mentalities, I'll have 2 more people. But then when in sales, there's a concept that you reduce to ridiculous. Now, when I say reduce to ridiculous means that initially the customer may be looking at the looking at the price of automation as a cost, because that's an upfront money that he needs to pay, right? Now, when you do a reduce to ridiculous, what we're saying is that you compute the total cost of automation, and then you add the cost of manpower, right? And then you look at the cost after, let's say, 5 or 6 years down the line. I'm sure 5 years, 6 years down the line, the business will expand. You'll need more manpower, right? So you do a comparison there on the cost, and whatever money you spent on automation divided by the number of years and the days. So the way typically insurance sells. So what they're saying, reduce to ridiculous means that whatever the total cost is, you divide it by the number of days. So it comes out to 2 rupees a day. So I'm just giving an example. That's how people sell insurance. So we can talk about it. So what I would suggest, get in touch with us, and because of time crunch, this is what I can exactly tell you at this point of time. And then we can definitely sit and brainstorm and deliberate how we can help you on this shot.
Sure. I'll just add one point. Because in India, there's no product mindset and people don't want to buy a product or automation products. I think the entire rise of the SaaS industry, software as a service, is only because of that. Because people would rather pay on a monthly basis or a pay-per-use basis for a software product or any automation product rather than paying as a whole. So instead of Oracle or any other legacy software, if you're using a SaaS service, it's only because you would not commit for a longer term or commit to a product as such. You would rather have it as a service where you pay per use or pay per month, for example.
Right.
So that's the challenge is, especially in India.
But the good part is, Shaunak, that we've seen the trends changing. So that's good news for all of us, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks for asking that question, Shaunak. Anybody else has any questions, anything that you want to add, ask?
Yes. So 2 questions. One is I think I shared notes with you, set of notes of this class, master class, right? Does it make sense? Does it sound okay to share and publish them?
Hari, can you please repeat that, because I think I lost some bits. Yeah.
Does it sound okay to publish the notes I prepared from this classroom?
Sure. Please feel free to share. Please, we'll be more than happy, Hari.
Second is, I'm not really into sales. I'm a product manager technically, right?
Okay.
I am into, getting things done by setting processes and, and creating templates.
Okay.
Right? Now, my product is the process and the template around that. And everyday improvement. So with my learning skills in the long term, I can maybe sell the roadmaps and the strategies on that. Now, that's the sales of that thing, right? Is little into a different. So that's not really a sales, right? And now that because it's a interpersonal day-to-day communication, but everything starts with kind of me selling something, making somebody agree to that, and getting them try to follow like what exactly I'm trying to do, convey. So I need some like some directions around that.
Sure. So Hari, what you can do is, we've shared our email ID. You can always, send us an email or, initiate a chat with us. And we can definitely have a discussion around this, and we'll be more than happy to help you, Hari.
Sure, makes sense.
Great. Okay, anybody else has anything for us? No? So shall I take this silence as a no, or shall I take this silence as something that you want to ask and you're waiting to compile that? So what does silence say? Yes, no, or you taking time to think about a question and ask? Okay,
No
so
question.
no responses. Okay, I think thanks so much everybody to be a part of this session, and that on a Saturday afternoon when most of the people have engagements, and I really value people who join this session. And as I told you that this is a routine feature, make sure that you sign up every Saturday between 12 to 1, and I'm sure we would be adding some value to whatever you're doing in sales as of now. Thank you so much once again.